Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Nelson, you're watching Nature Nell, and if you're new to my channel, thank you for stopping by. Today you are going to learn something new and something very valuable, which is how to repot your orchids when you get home and they are in these god-awful plastic pots. Now, let me see if it'll stay standing because they're ish. When you guys buy your orchids at the nurseries or at the shows or wherever, these plastic pots, they're mainly used for transportation and for the nurseries. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're made to grow your orchids. And a lot of people think that because they come in these pots that they're safe enough to just grow them in there. You can get away with it if you're not a heavy waterer, but unfortunately most of us are. And what happens is you put this in your environment. I'm cutting my head off, I'm so tall. You put this in your environment and you have a very humid and wet environment like I do, and they start dying off. They start getting black spots, they start getting root rot. And Cattleyas are very sensitive to overwatering. In many cases, you shouldn't water them every day. Maybe in the summer when it's really hot. If it's extremely hot, then yes, you can water them every day, but more than not, skip a couple of days, let it dry out, and then re-water it. Try not to wet the leaves so much. I like to hit mostly the base area to avoid any extra humidity on the leaves, which could cause fungus. So you want to take them out of these plastic pots. Now, a lot of times I like to acclimate them to my environment before I do that. But this one's already tipping over and that's how they get damaged. So I decided, you know what? I have two things that I have to repot. I have my Heaven's Gate, which I'll be doing inside, is too big. And this one that I just got at the OFE show. Now I don't have the name, but Melissa told me that she does. So she has the name. It's really, really pretty. And it smells, it has an incredible fragrance. So I was like at the fair at OFE's and I figured, you know what? OFE's is right here. Let me find a really nice pot instead of the typical terracotta. So I got this gorgeous is $25 and it's big and heavy. And look how beautifully it pops this flower in this blue pot. So when you're at the fair, it makes it so much easier to pick the right pot for your orchid, because you can just take the orchid and put it inside. I was going to buy the white one, and Chris told me, you know, maybe the blue one would go better, because I was like, you know, I like the blue, but I think it's going to take away from the flower. And he's like looking at it, I go, you think it's going to look better? He goes, yep, I think it is. And once I put it in, it was a no-brainer, and I'm like, I'm taking that one. Look how pretty it looks, and it has a lot of drainage and a lot of holes. Therefore, if it does get a little too much water, it'll dry out fast. Medium. Let me show you what I'm going to do with the medium. At OFE's, I went and got a bag of red lava rock. I got that one, which is, they have different sizes. This is more of like the medium size, I would say. It's like the size of the clay beads. And this is my second bag. I have a new bag that I got today. I thought I had run out, but this is just regular charcoal and it's crushed. And guys, this is like $12.50 for this whole bag. It was filled to the top. I've already been using it. I always have a pot that I like to put my medium in there. I have to kind of like kneel so I don't cut my head off. Oh. Being tall is so overrated. You hit your head at all the shows. You know, they put those little tiny, you vendors, you know, you got to consider us tall people too. Tall people like orchids as well. I'm always hitting those things. So anyways, let's open the first bag. This is really, really easy, to tell you the truth. Repotting an orchid is not as difficult as people think. Now, before I start, I do have medium here that I had mixed already from a previous repotting. These are clay beads or hydro beads. I didn't want that to happen, but anyways, let me see if you can see it like that. It's a little clay bead. It's very similar to lava rock. So you can mix those, and I have charcoal in there as well. So you want to try to like divide half and half to the eye. You don't have to be, this is like Cuban cooking, you know, you don't measure, you just go, that's about right. And it always comes out good. So this is the same thing. You kind of give it the same amount, half and half. I always like to do a little bit less charcoal than the lava rock, because what the charcoal is going to do, it's going to keep everything clean. It keeps all the water that goes to there and bacteria and things like that. It maintains it clean. It just makes it well for it to look like that. Just like I said, there is no wrong or right as long as it's mixed. Now, it does have lava rock in here already, so I can do one of two things. I could take this out somewhere else and let the rest of the lava rock go, which is probably what I'll do. I wish I would have brought, you know what I'll do? I'll bring a box. Be right back. Here we go. So here we go. So basically, you want to flip it sideways, squeeze the pot, especially the plastic ones are super easy, and start loosening it up. This one is pretty established. Let's see. Now, some people like to wet it. I could have wet it, but it's late afternoon. I don't want the plant to stay wet, so I'm going to be very gentle. Okay, that's all I'm doing. I'm just letting everything kind of loosen up and release. Now, it does have styrofoam. I'm not even going to bother taking that out because I like for it to have styrofoam. I was going to put some anyway, so this takes away the purpose. The roots look very clean. The medium looks super, super clean. Therefore, I don't have to worry about cleaning the whole thing. I know some purists like to clean those roots with no medium whatsoever. I do that when it's bark or sphagnum moss. And even sometimes I leave some of it in there because I've learned that the more you tamper with the root, the higher the chances of the plant not being so happy. So we're going to leave it exactly the way it is. Okay. I just took the excessive amount because honestly, the lava rock that was in here looks really good. Now you want to make sure you fill it enough to where it's raised right where the lip is. You want to see the roots right at the lip, right? You don't want to dig those roots deep inside because then what happens is you hold way too much moisture at the base of the cane. I think that's perfect right there. And you're just gonna fill it up. Fill it up. My neighbors are working right there. They must be thinking, who is he talking to? All right, folks, I'm finished. That's it. That's all it takes. And then we'll take the price out because that doesn't look good when you're done with your... All right. Now, I usually have some stakes. So let's see, maybe this will work, maybe it won't. I have a little bag. I ordered these on Temu. There we go. Now she's at eye level. You can really see her. It's just at this leaf here. Because she's not, there's something blocking it there. It's kind of tight. Well, that'll work. So see, now it's not so like stuck to that leaf. So that is it. That is pretty much all you need to do. There's no really secret way of doing this. And that's it. And your plant is nice and snug in there. It's very tight. I sometimes like to do this and let all the beads that are in between the roots find their ways. And you can feel it. You can feel the top when you do that. You can feel everything in there kind of like shuffling. And when you move the plant, see, she's perfectly stiff in there. Now, let's go inside. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do my Heaven's Gate. It actually fell from its pot. It was way too heavy, so I got a low dimensional pot at OFE's as well. And I'm going to mix different things. I'm going to do the beads with the charcoal and sponge rock. So that, to show you that it doesn't have to be this way. You can use charcoal and sponge rock and lava rock, or you can use hydro beads and charcoal. You can switch it up. What I wouldn't suggest to use is, if you're going to use orchiata bark, you have to be someone that doesn't water too much, because eventually it does decompose. And as much as I love it, the ones that I do use it on, I don't like dendrobiums. I don't water too much. So Cattleyas, they're so sensitive to overwatering that I rather put something that dries quickly and lets the water drain through the roots. Therefore, you're avoiding any bacterial infection or root rot. So let's keep it safe. All right, guys, let's go inside and I'll see you with my Heaven's Gate. All right, guys, so what I got was one of these low profile terracotta pots. Maybe it says 32. Maybe that's the number of the pot of this shape. But I got it over at OFE's, and I like it because for Cattleyas, it doesn't hold so much. When it's too deep, remember, it's going to hold more moisture. They don't have the ones with the slits, but I will do a mix of the clay beads, these, with mix of charcoal, and I got this from the Orchid Supply store, which is amazing perlite, and it's a super coarse. I like the super coarse because that way it gives it enough aeration. So I'm going to be replanting this one in here. Now, I only have one hand. I don't really have my tripod with me. I started doing this in the back. I only have my phone, and they are working in my yard. So I'm just going to wing it here just to show you guys more or less, but I'm just going to mix. And once I get it all mixed in there, I'll show you an inset, okay? Let's get to work. All right, so that's basically it. I poured around that ratio. I found this pot. I couldn't find anything. This is an old pot I had laying around. I got paint all over it. I cleaned it and sprayed it very well. So what you're seeing is just stains. So I'm using that to mix, and then in my actual pot where I'm gonna put this. So always remember to put a little screen. I got this at this online thing called Temu. You can get a lot of gardening things there for super cheap, and great things that you would never even think, like that, for instance. Sorry, I'm trying to pick a wire up with with my gloves. Like that, they already come pre-cut. I have them all. I'm sorry, guys. It's just that there's so many projects that I'm working on that the place is getting very filled up. See, they come in a little bag like that. I keep them in here because if not, I'll be losing them. How do you take those plastic out? Okay, I keep them in there. So anyways, we have that so far. So I'm obviously going to start mixing this all together. Doing this with one hand. And you just mix it until you see an equal balance in the medium. You don't want to see too much of anything. Like, you don't want to see too much sponge rock on this side and too much charcoal here. You want it all to kind of look like that, you know, like very mixed in. And this is, I wish I had a bigger, maybe that's something I need to go buy today. I should have gone to Home Depot, like a big mixing bucket, like a 5-gallon mixing bucket or something like that, just to mix medium, like fresh medium. Because I used to make the mistake when I first started collecting, you know, you don't know, you're just learning. And I would reuse my medium because, you know, it is sometimes expensive. And that is like, knowing what I know today, it's like, that is a curse. That is like cursing. No wonder my plants never survived. Because any little thing that may be in that medium is going to transfer to the next plant. It's at the, here goes the pun. Ready, guys? It hits it at the root. It's the root of the problem, right? Because that's the vein of the plant, and it's going to be inside a medium that, you know, was probably infested already, and it's a downward spiral, you know. So anyways, let me cut this out so I can mix this well with 2 hands, and I'll see you in the next segment. All right, so now what I do is, since this is such a big Cattleya already, I'm actually gonna pour. I can't film it. Maybe I'll try to be strategic about it, but I'm gonna try to pour some. Here's already the mixed in. Here's what it should look like, all mixed in there nicely. And now I'm gonna pour this in there and then start shaking it, so most of that beaded medium starts digging into the actual plant. Like, you start shaking it little by little and filling it, and then shaking it little by little and filling it, so all those beads go in there. Because if you just pour it, it's just gonna lay on top. So you want it to go right in between those roots, and just keep adjusting. So let me see if I can do this strategically. If not, the next segment will be with all the medium inside. So see, I'm basically shaking it into place. Of course, you don't want to do it to where you're going to bust the terracotta pot or your whatever pot you're putting it in. See, it's already firming up. As you do that, those beads will find their way inside. And you could actually feel the plant getting sturdier. So now it's exactly how I want it. Now, I could actually continue lifting the plant up a little bit, so that way a lot more hits the bottom. And it also helps raise the plant more. Gotta make sure that this is in the spot. There we go. Where it's new growth is coming out of here, so I want to give it enough space. Now, it's a nicely snug pot. I didn't want to get something too big, because a loose and wiggly plant or orchid is pretty much a dead orchid, putting it mildly. So you want to make sure that it's well. See, it's still a little wiggly. So, and it's cool because you actually see the medium going down. That means it's spreading out to the bottom. You know how I figure this out? Because when you make flan, I learned how to make flan because it's my favorite dessert. And you have to do that to the blender, excuse me, to the blender jar. So all the bubbles go up, and then you skim the top with a wooden spoon. And when you do your flan, it doesn't break into like cheese, like a Swiss cheese texture. It'll be like more of a solid custard. So it's basically what I'm doing here. I'm getting rid of all the air pockets. See, it's amazing. It really does work. Look, it's sturdy in there. I still need to fill it up, but it's a very sturdy plant. Even just like that, how it is, it has a chance of survival more so than if you were just to pour the stuff on top. Okay, so let me stop it here for a second and mix some more medium, and we'll continue on. All right, let's see if I can turn this around. This is the first time I pot something like this. It's only because I'm filming. I normally put it on top of but I found it much easier just to lay the phone across the edge of the table with a weight on the end. So I am making a little bit of a mess. That's okay. I can sweep it. All right, I think this is good. Good enough to bring it up here. All right, guys, so there you have it. I just filled it all the way to the top, making sure I always pull up a little bit once it's firmly in there. I mean, it's really firm in there. There's a lot of weight to this medium due to the clay and the charcoal. But I do pull up a little bit until I start seeing roots from the base come up, because you don't want to dig the canes too deep into the medium. Like in this case, this was a very difficult one because these older canes down here, they're kind of lower than the other area. But as I start watering, I haven't watered it yet, I will start raising it up. So that way it's not, you know, sitting below it. And that way it doesn't get any root rot or anything like this. But for what I see, I think this is a very happy new home for my Heaven's Gate. And like every cake needs a topping, so does a repotting. And there's the tag. Always remember to keep your tag close to you so you don't lose it, because trust me, they're easy to lose. And now she'll get more space here to grow in here, which she was looking for, because this was out here. The old pot, it was out here. So now it has all this space to grow in. And it's gonna look beautiful. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this repotting. All right, guys, that is it. I hope you like this tutorial. I don't do many of them. I feel like I should do more often, because every time I'm repotting or doing something, I'm always in a hurry. So I figured today's Sunday, I just finished coming from the OFE show. Maybe it would be a good time to get a video in there and show you guys 2 Cattleyas that I needed to repot. So I hope you learned something from this. Let me know in the comments if you decide to repot your Cattleyas, how they're doing or how well they look in your new pots, and experiment. And if you can get your pots at the same time that you buy your orchids, that is the best, because now you know exactly what would look perfect, like this little beauty here. All right, guys, I will see you next time. I am Nelson, you're watching Nature Nell, and remember to always keep it green. I'll see you next time.